Well. Look who's back from the cruise. He caught some sun out there. And boy, Clarkey, did you need it? Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. And you, if anyone deserved a vacation, I think it's you. For a myriad of reasons, but mostly to get away from this bum of a hockey team that you cheer for. And we're going to dig into that extensively on this program tonight. And we're very pleased to be joined by a good friend of the show, a guy who does this a lot. He's been doing it every day, it seems. And why not? We're leading up to trade deadline day. Our friend from Sportsnet 590, The Fan, host and producer on the airwaves, Mr. Mike Gentile. Gentile, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm great. I mean, Clarkey's catching rays and Treliving's catching strays.
Oh, God, I like that. That's the title of the show right there. That's the title of the show. We'll have to underwrite you a check for coming up with that. Yep. I want to ask you about an image here. This has been going around social media, Mike, and I'm sure you've seen this. And what's funny is I actually own a copy of this magazine. It's buried amongst my collection to my left here, but this has been circulating around the Leafs Twitterverse. Now, this, if you're listening,
reads like a curse.
We're looking at the 2018 Hockey News Future Watch edition, one of my favorite issues they put out every year. And it says, plan the parade. Toronto will win the Stanley Cup. It's only a matter of if and how many. And there's a picture of young Austin Matthews. William Nylander still got the 29 on in this picture. And, of course, Mitch Marner. I also find it really funny if you look at the bottom of this picture for our viewers. It says better goalie Ilya Samsonov or Carter Hart. Okay. That's hey, but we didn't know back then. We didn't know back then what we know now. And Gentile, you look at that and wonder what went wrong here. Like, how come that group did not become the Taves and Kane, the Malkin, Crosby, Letang, the Kopitar, Doughty? Like, what ultimately went wrong here? Now that Marner's gone and it looks like there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking with this team, why did this not happen?
You know, and it should have happened. It's such a shame. They could have been amazing for years and years. And you know who else was saying plan the parade? Everybody, me included. Yeah. I thought it was just a foregone conclusion. They were going to, like, how are they not going to win? They had Shanahan, then they get Babcock, then they get Matthews. Like, it couldn't be better. It was a perfect setup. And, you know, it's a tricky one to answer the question in terms of what went wrong. I think ultimately the management or mismanagement of the Stars, the babying of the Stars, allowed that locker room to be poisoned. And it all started like the Nylander holdout was bad. And I think it sullied a lot of the rest of the team. Then I think Marner, through his agent, through the dad, whoever, being obsessed with being as good as Matthews and wanting a certain amount of money, and then constantly comparing themselves. And even though I know people joked about it, this whole thing about the little bonuses the Leafs did not pay him and why he was so mad about it, that kind of stuff, it builds resentment. And I think ultimately what happened was the room and the mood there got poisoned. And they could have and should have been a team galvanized to go and win a cup together, but they just became a group of individuals that wanted the most money. No one took any discount. Everyone fought for every penny that was there. And it fell apart. And last year was the last dance for that team. I thought they chickened out when they didn't trade Cowan then, because last year was the year with Marner in the lineup. If you're ever going to, quote, go for it, last year's the year to do it. They didn't. Then they didn't spend the Marner money wisely. They got exposed. And, man, it fell apart. Like, it happened so quick, and yet it happened so slowly over time.
It really did. Clarkey, you're back from the cruise. You're back from having vacation eyes. What are you feeling right now? Because I think that, look, I've tried to be supportive to you, brother. I genuinely think that this franchise is heading for a disastrous 5 or 6 years.
Well, on the surface, it certainly looks like it is. And, you know, Gentile's talking about how it poisoned the room. And, like, when you go back to the Babcock days, like wrong coach, wrong time. And then Sheldon Keefe couldn't control the poison. He just let it infiltrate. Not that a coach has all the say in the room, but they have a big influence in the room, right? The players have to police it a lot as well. But I totally agree with them. It was poisoned. And like, I know my Mitch Marner loving friends, one in particular, good old Max at work, will say this was the downfall when they lost Mitch. No, the downfall happened back then with all these guys thinking they were better than the team and bigger than the team and demanding the demands that they did. That's what ruined them. We had Joe on at the beginning of this year, and I said to you, and I said to Joe, I'm worried the window's closed. It obviously looks like it is. Is it disastrous? Well, what do you think, Gentile? Is this a total? They got to strip it right down. They're not going to trade Matthews and Nylander, I don't think, at the deadline. But do those two got to go as we move forward here? Or can you use those two building blocks and move forward, even though they've never shown that they can win?
You know why they're cooked? They're cooked because they're not good enough to retool. That's not an option, because you think adding one or two guys is going to fix anything. So they're not good enough to retool. They're not bad enough to start over. And even if they did, they're going to lose that pick to Boston this year anyway. So they're kind of stuck like, well, what's the point of tanking if we got to give it to them anyway? So what's going to happen there? They got no prospects. They got no picks. Like, they got nothing. They have no path. Like, if they bottomed out and were terrible, there's a path to make it up. Now,
if you have picks, yeah.
Now, guess what? In 2 years, you may not have your captain back. Mm-hmm. Like the guy was probably already a little bit turned off by going and winning something with another jersey, even though it was not an NHL thing. But, someone goes away, see what it's like to be happy for a change, comes back, gets destroyed for everything since the gold medal, right? And then, so I think he's probably a little bit turned off of Canada to begin with, whether we like that or not. But if you're him, and he's just as much to blame for the lack of success, I'm not giving him a pass. I've been hard on him the whole time. But I'm saying, if you're him right now, and you look at this team this year and say in 2 years, like, they are worse now than where the Oilers were in the summer when they were panicking about Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Matthews, and then the other problem is everything goes through Matthews and his money. In the Olympics, he was perfect because it's like, we don't need you to score all the goals. Go be a Barkov. Go be a Kopitar. And by doing that, he ended up still with 3 goals and 7 points, right? Here, he has to be that Barkov Kopitar guy. Oh, by the way, we also need you to lead the team in scoring and play the way a $13 million player can do it. He can't do it all. So who do you trust? You can't count on Nylander night after night. Nice. No one wants to admit it. Terrible year, completely regressed, likely injury, hurt some way, whatever. Tavares regressed as well. So what are you doing now? You have nothing left. And now this big thing over the deadline is, geez, McMahon, Lawton, OBL. What are you getting for those guys anyway? What are you going to get for those guys?
Do you think any of those guys are worth a first-round pick, Gentile? Are any of those guys worth a first?
They are in one scenario. If a team that acquires one of those guys has struck out on getting someone else and they're desperate and the price starts to go up, because you never know if they could recoup one first-round pick. But even then, do you trust this team to go and draft someone with that pick and be great? Like, what?
No, they remind me of Shapiro and Atkins. I don't have any trust in them whatsoever.
And now, what's Easton Cowan doing playing 8 minutes? Like, did Berube get hurt in that gym and think that Cowan is actually Nick Robertson? Did he forget the name on the back of the jersey? That's what's happening. A total mismanagement. And I think at the end of the day, the number one person to blame for all the stuff that you've just mentioned is Brendan Shanahan, because he had it in his hands.
And
he did the following. Ready? This is what he did. The streak of 1967. We're going to go out and end that cup drought with a rookie coach who's never done it, and a rookie GM who's never won anything. That's what we're going to do here. It made no sense. You could love it, hate Babcock or Lamoriello. They won something. They put it into the hand of two rookies that only won a marginal Calder Cup with the Marlies and nothing else. And then we wonder like, oh, I wonder what happened in that room. Well, of course you wonder what happened. Both guys, what did they all do? Coddle. They coddled these guys. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree.
And you know what? I think Kyle Dubas, had he stayed, had they worked that out, I think he would have dealt Marner or Nylander.
And that's why
he knew to break it up. He would have done it.
Yes, he would have done it. He had an opportunity to do it. And that's when he said, I need to be president as well.
Right.
And Shanahan said, whoa, see you later.
And what happened before that? Shanahan offered him a contract after the Leafs are eliminated by the Panthers. He didn't fire him because of his X's and O's, because of his moves. He's like, we want you to stay the GM. Only when the power struggle happened, then he suddenly decided we can't have this guy around. They bring in someone else. What does he do? Messages all the guys, don't worry, no one's going anywhere. And tick, 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 tick. The Marner clock was ticking the whole time.
For sure it was.
That no move was activated, and it was over.
That's right.
It was over.
You're right. That's the moment it was over for sure. Ryan, you often talk to me about your Capitals and how they,
I don't want to bring them up.
No, but I need to ask you because I think it was
ask me.
3 or 4 years before they finally won the Cup. Ovi's in his 5th or 6th season. They missed the playoffs. Lots of coaching changes along the way. Retooled, get rid of some guys.
13-14, they missed with Adam Oates.
Right?
With Ovi scoring 50, by the way. He scored 50 that year. That's crazy.
I know.
They missed. They missed the
playoffs, and then they won it. But it still took them a few years to win it. You compare this Leaf team to your Capitals a lot, except that they haven't won.
Well, I don't. People that are like to compare them to me. Where I push back and go, this isn't even remotely the same group, and I'll tell you why. Really, at the end of the day, I'm
not saying it's the same group. I'm saying you've compared them.
No, I know, but they generally what happens is someone who's most of my friends are Leaf fans based on the region I live in, and they'll come to me and say that they'll go, "Don't you think this is a little bit like your team?" And I go, "No," and I'll tell you why. Ultimately, at the end of all this, what happened with this, let me bring the cover back up again. What happened with this is that unfortunately, what we didn't know then is that none of the three of those guys are dogs. They're not animals. I don't want polite people on my hockey team. I don't care that they're good guys. I bet they are. They did a lot of stuff in the community. It's great. When those three guys, including John Tavares, who I still will maintain, I said it to you then, Clarkey, I'll say it again now. They never should have signed him. Now, what happened was they signed a guy who's never won anything, and he set a bad financial benchmark for these other cats to walk in and go, well, you better give me at least this. When Mitch Marner signed for a higher AAV than Nikita Kucherov, I almost flipped a table over. I couldn't believe it. But they did it. They gave it to him, right? And then when these guys all went out on the ice, the four of them, not one of those dudes was hard to play against in the playoffs. And I don't mean just the incredible, almost mythical lack of scoring in games 5, 6, and 7, which is nothing. I mean hard to play against. A displeasure to step over the boards and go, here comes 34. Alex Ovechkin, for all of the crap he took over the years, not a fun guy to be on the ice with.
No, for sure.
Drops the gloves. That
throws the body.
Gentile, Ovechkin's third all time in hits. Third.
Let's add one thing. To what you're saying. Then they decided, let's augment this group with some veterans. Yes. What do Spezza, Thornton, Marlowe, what do all those guys have in common? 0 cups. 0 cups. They brought in old, almost lazy guys at the end of their career who are a little bit too much, and I'll use the C word, chill. You're going to be a chill guy. And I think it made them like a complacent, lazy bunch. And William Nylander's body language, the middle finger in the press box. You know what, man? You want to be mad?
Stand it.
Be mad on the ice. Be mad that your team is not any good this year. And go
impossible.
He's got amazing skill.
To do.
But
no doubt he's got amazing skill. No doubt. But
these guys, I watched his goal the other night. He looked just like McKinnon at the Olympics or Celebrini or anything. Like, he's got the skill.
Filthy
the problem with these guys, they are great on a team that's already good, but they ain't driving no bus.
It reminds me of Phil. I thought Phil was the same way.
No,
Phil was never going to be the number one guy.
No. And
when he was the secondary or third guy, he can shine.
Well, and then he went to a team like Pittsburgh and he won a cup.
Right.
You know why?
Right.
Because no one said, hey, this cup belongs to, it's Kessel or bust, guys.
No,
it wasn't.
It was Sidney Crosby.
And you know what? Kadri, bit of a dog. Bit of a problem, but a dog. Zach Hyman.
Problematic guy, yeah.
Bit of a dog. I don't blame him for Kadri because
it's all Shanahan. Everything goes back to Shanahan.
Yeah, it was a bad scenario with Kadri. I get it. But he proved to everyone he's a useful part of a winning team.
For sure he is.
Zach Hyman, you don't think you want to spend that $5 million now?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
hindsight is 2020. There's
so I
no
think
doubt
they
about
were
it.
coddled. I think they were coddled. And even Matthews, it's like, hey, we're going to give you 13 mil. And he only gave them 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got news for you. If you want the AAV from the team, you got to give the term. If you want the team to not give you as much term, then you can't go and crush it. Like, he basically took them for 13 million, only to redo it in the next 4 years. He kind of gambled on himself. Now, the problem is he's regressed so much, his value's gone down.
For sure. The Leafs might be thankful they didn't sign him to 8 years.
But he ain't a dog, man. He ain't a dog.
It's just one of those things where I look at it, and again, it's a tired old conversation that we've had to have on this show. But unfortunately, like, it's reached the point where we're at a decade now. And again, people still, Clarkey, all the time, people do that thing to me where they go, well, what about Ovi? And he was 32. I'm like, but the issue though for me, and I'm Caps guy, okay? I'm confident saying this. I never once was like, let's get rid of Ovi, because every year I watched him put his head through the wall and get pissed off and fight. Remember that documentary series for the Winter Classic, the year they played the Penguins in 2011? The Caps lost 11 straight games. I remember. And he got in a fight with Brandon Dubinsky of the New York Rangers and was so friggin' angry. I couldn't believe how mad he was. Like, his top exploded. That's the difference. I don't think I'm not, again, far be it for me to tell professional athletes to go out there and fight people. I think that Toronto fans, Clarkey, you tell me, are very simple in what they want. They love their lunch pail guys. There's a reason why you see 150 Darcy Tucker jerseys in the stands to this day.
No doubt.
Roberts, Domi.
We need those guys, and we need to win. Wendell.
And those guys, none of them were stars, but they're more beloved than these guys to a vintage of Leaf fan because they put everything they had on the sheet. And I cannot say that about any of these guys. Tremendously talented players, Gentile. I don't know what your thoughts are.
But it was the surrounding cast. It was the surrounding cast, those guys. Matt Sundin was the guy. He wasn't a dog either. He dogged it a lot, quite frankly. But he had great, unbelievable supporting cast around him and went to 2 conference finals in what, 4 years?
And he became more grindy by the end. Like, I think he learned the difference of Sundin. Yeah. Sundin became a Torontonian by the end of it all.
No doubt.
He became a Leaf.
Yep.
He became a Leaf, like bleed for the flag on the front of the jersey. Do you get that sense from these guys? Do you get the sense that Matthews or Nylander is like, we got to do it for the name on the front of this jersey and for all those fans in the crowd? Do you ever get that sense
No,
from them?
no, there's no doubt.
Even when they had the Daryl Sittler night, everything just fell flat.
The Joe Bowen night, all the nights this year, like there hasn't been any good nights.
Even when Matthews passed,
even when there's no nights
for the all-time goals record, you got zero feeling. That's why I was laughing when the U.S. won the gold, because they said, this is the first time I've seen something from Austin Matthews. And they're like, what did you see? I'm like, his teeth. Some smile for the first time in 10 years.
He's not doing it now.
But I don't feel, but they don't have that. And so you know what? In our lifetime, the most skilled Leafs team we've ever seen is the one that we were currently watching up until last year.
Yep.
But all those other Final Four teams had way more heart, grind, playoff style. And guess what?
Hey,
by fluke, guess what happened? They won more.
Yeah. They won in the playoffs more. They never won the big one, but they were certainly a fun team to watch. This has got to be the most frustrating team I think I've ever watched as a Leaf fan. As bad as the teams were in the 80s, as bad as teams have been, even the team that tanked with Peter, what's his name?
They were bad.
And you know what? No Leafs fan for the last 2 years has defended them. They all know.
Well, yeah.
They all know. You hope for the best.
Yep.
But I'll tell you this, couple things. So they lose out on Marner, and they replace him with a giant raise for Matthew Nice, Matthias Michelli, Dakota Joshua. Like, the money spent was not great, right?
No, it was not.
Imagine you spent it properly. Imagine last year they trade and get like a Seth Jones kind of guy. Like, they let it kind of dwindle away with how they use their money. And that was a huge problem.
So having said that, go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah, no. So I'm saying you could have won with the guy. And then when you tried winning without the guy, you had a terrible plan. You replaced him kind of with nothing. Right?
So having said all that, are you surprised that this trade deadline, which they have to turn some players into assets, is being run by the guy running it, Treliving?
It's bizarre. It makes me feel like
Keith Pelly doesn't know what he's doing either. That's what I feel. If
they would have fired Berube, it would have happened by now. The fact that Berube is still around,
he's in with the ownership.
It's for two reasons. I think they decided they're going to tie him to the GM.
Maybe.
So I don't think the GM has much, of a leg to stand on if this goes even worse. So I think they'd be more likely to get rid of two of them. For example, like with the Rangers, they're not going to fire Mike Sullivan. They'll get rid of Chris Drury, but the coach is staying. Yeah. Here, like the Devils will get rid of both guys. But I think here it's the same thing. I think they've tied them.
So who's coming in? Who's the guy who's going to come in and I don't want to say save the team. Because
everyone says like, Doug Armstrong.
Yeah, I've heard that. But
okay, great.
Isn't he under contract?
But you want to know what's funny? I remember everyone saying, wow, you know who would be amazing if
Brian Burke.
Craig Berube. Remember like pre-Berube, how they talked about him? And now it's like, they got to get rid of that guy. Craig Berube is coaching a style that wins a cup. He's won a cup before.
Right. But guess what
you need to do?
You got to make the playoffs.
He's not an idiot. He's trying to do it, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have the horses, though.
Does not have the style. And normally I would say should the players adapt to the style of the coach, or does the coach need to adapt to what his players have? Right? I think he's tried to get them to adapt to his style. So you hear a lot from Berube this year, things like, we need to be more consistent. We need a better effort. I'm like, coach, they're already giving that to this. This is what you got. Like, you're acting like if they only tried a little more, they would win. No, they've actually tried, and this is what you got.
But when you watch this team play, and I agree with him the other night, and he goes, I can't give you this. I can't give you a heart.
That's the image we have up, him next to Nylander, funnily enough. And I think
he's great. I feel bad for him. I do.
So do I.
I do too. And I think that was the most telling thing that he has said, because Gentile, like, I agree. Like, he comes out and he says this stuff, and you're like, okay. I think it's just like media speak, because he can't say what he really wants to say to them that he probably does say to them behind closed doors. The other night after the Ottawa game was the closest he's come to being like, these guys are, I don't know what you want me to do. Because when he pointed to his heart and said, I can't make them bring this, and then pointed at his head and said, or this, I think that's the closest thing he could say to like just outright going, these guys suck. They're a displeasure to coach. They're not coachable, and they do not want to do this. Harkens back to what I said. Unfortunately, the three guys on that magazine cover and Tavares don't want to and never have wanted to and never have done the hard stuff. Okay? Scoring a hat trick against the now defunct Arizona Coyotes in November is easy. Great. We love the hat trick. Awesome. Come April and May, what's up? Turns out not much. I swear to God, if one of these guys, Matthews in particular, had dropped his gloves one time and beat the piss out of Shane Pinto last year in the playoffs, he'd be a god. People would be like, look at him. He cares.
In this Matthews era, you guys tell me this, okay? In this Matthews era, so it's 9 straight years of playoffs. So they're going to miss this year in year 10. In 9 straight years of those playoffs, name me one opponent that would have gone into Toronto and thought, man, it's going to be so tough to play with these guys. It's going to be really hard to go against them, especially at home. I'm a little nervous about one.
I'll tell you the only one. There's one, and it was my Capitals in 16-17 because they looked at them and it was an unknown commodity. They went, look at this scrappy young Leafs team. Keep in mind, the Leafs are up 2-1 on them. Back-to-back overtime wins for the Leafs. They scared Washington.
They played great, and everyone in the 1-2 in a row. Absolutely. They almost won game 1. And I think Washington, because of their still prevailing playoff ghost, went, God, look at these young kids buzzing around. That 16 can dish it, and this Matthews kid can go bar south. It's gross what these guys are doing. That is the only one, because then it just became a myriad of like, God, we can just push these guys out of the way. Boston didn't care. Montreal didn't care. Columbus unfazed. Even Ottawa last year. Ottawa last year, they didn't have the experience or the talent to match, but they held their own. And they didn't
push them.
Right.
They pushed them.
Whereas if you go back to those Sunday.
Having said that, that was their easiest victory of any in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
No, they only had 2. The Ottawa series, for sure.
Yeah. Last year was the year, guys. Last year was the year.
I agree. I agree.
And the funny thing is, they thought, we're going to be smart. You know what? We're not going to trade all our young guys. We'll trade this Minton guy instead. We'll get Carlo in here, not knowing Minton will be one of the top rookies in all of the NHL this year, by the way. Fine. And then the guy we're going to keep, the jewel that is Easton Cowan. What are we going to do with this jewel? Mismanage his contract, not have him play in the Olympics, give him a month where he just sat there. So what was the point of holding on to him? Should have dusted him off too.
The weird thing about all this too, and at the end of the day in sports, the blame ultimately for me in situations like this, majority of it does land at the players' feet, especially in a case like this where they gave these guys everything they wanted.
Right.
Well, you don't want to sign for 8 years, Austin? Okay, fine. We'll still make you.
That's the problem. They walked him right into free agency in his first or
100%.
Second contract.
All of that is absolutely relevant. The players, because they play, right?
Yes.
But the mismanagement of this organization, somebody said to me the other day, you know what? And this is not a unique thought that my friend had. Said, you know what the Leafs are like? They're the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL, which has been a joke that's been going for years. But it really is true. It's this ancient blue and white like franchise with a lot of historical prestige and love and passion behind it that is so unmitigatingly mismanaged. Like the
logo's better than the team.
The logo's better than the team. And like, how on earth do these guys, for all the money that people go, there's no salary cap on the front office or whatever. If that's true, how do you bungle a situation where you go one game over Cowan's threshold to be able to send him to the AHL during the Olympic break and let him play 25 minutes?
Someone screwed that up. Someone screwed that up. Who's in charge of that stuff?
How does that happen?
That's Shane Doan. Who's in charge of that?
How does that stuff happen? How do you never ever, God, if there's one team that hates the word, if there's one team in pro sports that hates the word draft, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. One of the worst drafting franchises in North American pro sports history. And this is ultimately something that we've talked about before, Gentile. Not one single time, I would argue, in the draft era, that's 1968 on, have they had an elite number one defenseman? Not one single time. This is the last guy.
Boria Salming. Tim Horton.
I'll give you Salming.
Give me Salming. I'll
give you Salming. But there's the guy right there that most people point to. That photo's in black and white.
Even the goalies. Not since Felix Potvin. It took forever.
How's that possible? With all the Leafs should be trying to like put a conglomerate together where they like force Gary in the NHL to abolish the draft and go back to the old days where it was
but
just
they're downsizing. To Clarkey's point, they're downsizing. Like, say what you want about Shanahan, but get another Shanahan. Like when Berube and Treliving are evaluating this team, let me ask you this question: when the coach and the GM are sitting around before deadline and saying, okay, what should we do? Who are they talking to other than themselves? Who?
Mike, I don't know.
Dave Morrison, their pro scout.
Think about this for a minute. Matthews and Nylander have been there longer than Berube and Treliving. Okay?
Yes.
Berube and Treliving have been there longer than Keith Pelly.
Mm-hmm.
Picture any company in the world where the president is the rookie, the managers are the second youngest, and all the employees have been there forever.
And that's
backwards.
And that's where I was going with all this. Keith Pelly has to bring in, I don't want to say a Kyle Dubas type, but a president and GM. That's what this team needs. They need a guy who they don't have to go to Brendan Shanahan or Keith. What does Keith Pelly know about running a hockey team?
Well, he had admitted he didn't know enough about basketball. Remember, they were looking for a president, and lo and behold, they just gave it to Bobby Webster.
Yeah,
little.
You better not give it to Brad Treliving.
Arrogant to think you know a lot about hockey just because you're in Canada. We don't know nothing.
Like, sure, Doug Armstrong, great. He's under contract, isn't he?
But you know why you need a president, guys? The coach is always going to want to win today. The GM is willing to write off the season for the future. And then someone else needs to merge those two things together and have a vision.
So you don't think a president GM would work?
You could have a president and GM, like someone that's better than Brad Treliving.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you had a Doug Armstrong.
I think in a guy who's organization with the way Rogers works and everything else, not to disparage your company there, buddy, but they need a guy who doesn't have to go through 2 or 3 hoops to do stuff.
But they need a hockey guy with a hockey vision.
Yes, no doubt.
You can't tell me the Leafs have some vision. What's their vision?
Yeah.
The vision is Craig Berube hates his players and can't win right now. Treliving is fighting for his job.
Maybe they should bring in Jim Treliving as the president.
I think the idealized vision of what the Shanna plan was look how talented these 4 guys are, and they're going to lead us to something meaningful.
And believe me when I say Brendan Shanahan was not how can I put this? He wasn't well liked in the front office.
Right.
But again, though, like, I don't care if a guy's well liked. Just do the necessary things and the hard decisions. Like, maybe
I think he's not well liked because they didn't win. I think it's all connected too.
Because he was a micromanager.
I bet he was.
Well, I know for a fact, the game day operations, all the stuff you do during the game.
Yep.
Give away the t-shirts.
Yep.
Do the whatever.
Yep.
He line by line looked at everything.
That's what I'm saying. He
Now,
should
I
have
get it.
more important things to worry about
No, I get it. As a
than how many
president,
T-shirts they're giving away.
You want to know, hey, I don't want to, something embarrassing happens and they say, why did you do that thing? Oh, geez, I didn't know about it. You should know you're the president.
Hold people can
Fine. But he was literally, guys, I was told, line by line.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
Shouldn't be that involved in that.
No,
Trust
that's what
someone
I'm
to do it.
saying. That's what
Hire
I'm
your
saying.
head of entertainment. And
Yes.
to Drury's point earlier, you're right. There's no salary cap on the front office. Well, then why are they cutting so many people? You know, they cut the trainer guys. They like if there's no cap there, this team should be the most loaded office in the history of sports.
Mm-hmm.
What confuses me about that, though, it goes back to, honestly, the main source of the issue that's plagued the franchise and hampered them from winning, outside of some very terrible ownership. I'll give you the late 70s and 80s.
Right.
You have to, because Ballard was literally that bad. Their inability to consistently find talent through the draft that supplements their roster going forward. It's unmistakably bad. And people would sit there and go, well, what about Matthews and Marner? Well, they almost didn't take Mitch Marner, because if Mike Babcock had had his way, and Lou Lamoriello, by the way, they would have taken Noah Hannafin. Real good player. Really good player. The only reason that Mitch Marner got in there is because Mr. Hunter, Mark Hunter, Dale's brother, who had him in London, pushed extremely hard to draft him and convinced everybody around the table to take Marner instead. Like, you'd look at it and go, how can you say they're bad at drafting when they have these star players? What do they do with the rest of it, though? Where's one guy you would go, oh, wow, a random 3rd or 4th round pick, and it just exploded into a 30-goal score? It's extremely rare. I can't even think of one. Where's their
even
Nikita
if they're not
Kucherov?
good on your team, you could trade them.
Yes.
Look at how many.
And then
like Fraser Minton.
Yeah.
Then they would find a random diamond in the rough, like a Zach Hyman.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, we can't keep that guy for $5.5 million.
I mean,
we've got to give Austin Matthews $13.25.
Yeah.
And pay Mitch Marner more than Nikita friggin' Kucherov.
And then convince people that Michael Bunting's the new Zach Hyman. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I remember. Clarkey remembers.
You know, they never, they never got a knockout goalie. They just kept getting a clone of the previous guy.
Well, Freddie Anderson was a complete disaster for a long time.
Freddie Anderson, Jack
He could not make it. He could not. Yeah, both of those guys.
They were just
no. And now that not this year. Let's put this year behind. But they seem to have, heading into the season, a pretty good tandem. But the team sucks.
You want to know what's funny?
I like the goalie depth.
It's better than Montreal's.
I did a thing. What's that? The Habs goalies? Well, yeah, they're better than their goalies today.
Well,
their 2 today are better.
Yeah, we'll see what the Fowler
their
kid
3 today is better.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with Fowler.
We'll see what happens with Fowler.
I did a thing this week. It was a Maple Leafs it was like a Leafs autopsy. Just looking at the carcass of the team and finding out what happened. So I said they were designated with some severe defensive trauma when Tanev went down. Right? They had a real deficiency in prospects and picks. So it's kind of going through the whole thing. And then I'm like, they didn't realize the early signs, when you ignore the signs of health. Do you remember how many games they played before Anthony Stolarz called out the team? Just take a wild guess. You remember how many games they played?
Wasn't it 7 or 8?
It was the 5th
early.
The 5th game of the year. They lose 4-3 to Seattle. And he's like, we made life easy for the other goalie. We don't get in front of the net.
He's right, though.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was right.
They need him playing forward.
The problem is, because they are soft, no one could take it. So what happened? He had to come out the next day, and he said something along the lines of, well, I'm the goalie, so I have to stop the puck too. It's on me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then their next game, following this 4-3 loss to Seattle, they lose 5-2 to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Even worse. Embarrassing. What does he say? They back checked. They played hard.
I got to be better.
They blocked a lot of shots. And I'm like, this thing's over. We're 5.
It's a hurt feelings club.
Right.
Hurt feelings.
No doubt.
Now, I think Stolarz, it's hard to do that and
They're
then
soft on the ice and soft
and
everywhere.
still walk into the dressing room. You know what I mean? But I look at it from Stolarz' standpoint. He goes in there, career backup. He essentially earned the number 1 job with the Leafs. I think you could say he became one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got a new contract. Starts a new season. Is like, you know what? Screw this. My team now. I'm the goalie. I'm responsible. Here's what we should do. 5 games in, they were already. I mean, there's no excuse. 5 games into a season, you should be playing that lousy. And guess what? He's not even allowed to say it. And then everything fell apart from that point on.
And someone must have approached him and said,
"You got." They approached Sheldon Keefe and told him. Remember when he started to rip on Marner?
Marner, yeah.
Remember they had to walk it back?
Boy.
Yeah.
But he should have had the balls to just say, no, sorry.
And if
I'm going to tell it like it is. If you don't want me telling like it is, then keep me away from the media. But I'm not going out there and apologize.
Maybe he didn't do it because he felt like, oh, well, I'm a new guy around here and they gave me this opportunity and I don't.
And then what happens to Stolarz? He mysteriously misses 2 months of the season. A nerve problem or something? I don't know.
Gonzo.
And you know what's weird? Anyway. In some ways, maybe they're the same team as last year, and last year's goaltending masked a lot of problems, and maybe. But I just think they're way different. You know, the loss of Marner killed the forwards. The loss of Tanev killed the defense. The 2 goalies not being consistent killed the goaltending. They were dead before they started. That's it.
Well, thanks for all your insight.
I don't know what else. No, it makes perfect sense, and I don't really know what else we can add to that.
Do we have time for a fun Leafs-related story?
Please, we do. Please.
Did you see the city council proposal yesterday?
No.
Okay, I could break this here. That's great.
Beautiful.
An official motion in Toronto City Council was passed, pitching the idea that Toronto should be the hosts of an outdoor winter game, a Maple Leafs game to be held at Rogers Centre with the roof open, with the skyline. And so the city of Toronto puts now the GM of economic development to lobby the Leafs and the NHL and basically to get the ball rolling. Okay. Pretty interesting idea. Now, sadly, I can kill the story in 10 seconds because Rogers Centre is closed in the winter.
It's sealed.
It is sealed. It.
Yes.
You cannot open that building unless you have consecutive days of 10 degrees. If you remember a couple of years ago when the J season started, it was still kind of cool outside and they were nervous about opening the dome, right?
Yeah.
So unless you play this game in October at the end of the J season when the Leaf season starts, I'm not sure how that will go. But what I do think, same owners, same whatever, BMO Field sitting right there.
Yeah, play it at BMO.
They've just added all these extra seats for the World Cup that are temporary. You can keep them there.
Yep.
And you could get the same size crowd as you would have got at Rogers Centre. Or there's Rogers Stadium down where Downsview Park is.
Yep.
Another
don't go there.
Stadium. You could build a rink there if you want. But anyway, so I think the Rogers Centre idea is just an absolute fail. But I was thinking about how you guys would rank who the opponents should be. Because I think for me, the easy one is the Habs, and it's probably them and no one else. But the next door neighbors in Buffalo is interesting. Your neighbors down the road. Buffalo. Your hated rivals in Ottawa. You could even argue from Newmarket, Ontario, you bring Connor McDavid and the Oilers in town against Matthews and the Leafs would be interesting. Then you have Detroit, but they've already
played twice.
Or how about this idea? 2 teams that don't include the Leafs.
Oh, that would be so funny. Buffalo, Detroit. Yeah,
you know what these guys would do?
Field.
If city council had anything to do with it, they will pull this off, and it would be like Toronto, Columbus. they would botch it that bad. But anyway, wonder what you guys thought of that. I mean, it's interesting. An outdoor game in Toronto against one of their rivals would be pretty cool. I think it would sell out. Obviously,
it would pop. Oh yeah, of course.
The problem is
pop. Yeah.
The problem is the Sabres would be the favorite. Like the problem
Yes, they
is
would.
we're so down on this team. It's hard to even get excited for what should be an amazing idea.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, man. It's
probably not the
unfortunate
time.
stuff, but
It's probably not the time.
Right? Doesn't it feel that way? It feels like,
let's talk again.
Dude, I
Depends
can't
on
wait
the
to
year.
get off the phone here with you so I can go watch the game. And the game I'm talking about is the Brier, not the Leafs.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the Brier.
There's more recognizable names in the Brier than in the Devils tonight.
And everyone's trying. And their curlers are fighting. They're fired up from the Olympics.
They're like, fighting the Swedes.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what we need. I haven't even discussed this Team Canada's disaster with Ryan yet, but anyway.
I don't want to discuss that.
Let me just say one thing about the gold medal game.
Go ahead.
Didn't see 1 second of it. It wasn't on the ship.
Oh,
that's unfortunate, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, didn't see
it. It was a good game.
I heard
it was.
I was following along
it was.
With the NHL Twitter.
You know what?
Some American who was
build-up was amazing. We had to wait 12 years to get it. Once we got there, there was thrilling games.
Yeah.
Come back against the Czechs, the Finland game, the U.S. game, even though we didn't win it, one day we'll look back and say, damn, that was an entertaining game. It was fast. It was skilled.
Let's do a Summit Series. 8 games, Canada, U.S.
Right. It was amazing. And then you know what's too bad? That game ends, and the following week was ruined by all the reaction to everything that the players did or said or didn't say.
Rightly so.
For an entire week.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
In my mind. Rightly so. Anyway.
I don't know.
All right, buddy.
We'll do that in the summer.
Yes.
Yes. Good idea.
In our summer referendum.
Yeah, when the Jays are in last place.
Don't.
The only thing we have to look forward to, please.
Yeah.
Jed Tilley, you're a beauty, buddy. Great to have you back on the show.
Fun
brother.
chat.
Thanks for doing this.
Chat. See you guys.
Thanks,
See you,
pal.
buddy.
See you, buddy. There goes Mike Gentile. And on the note of curling.
Yep.
And this is a fun thing, okay?
This is fun. I'm not joking about wanting to get off the air here to go watch.
We're bringing on our friend, curling expert, okay? Ontario mixed doubles provincial champion, and the man who does my taxes, ladies and gentlemen. Shawn Cottrill is on the program. Shawn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Do you have the Brier on right now? Yes. I love it, dude. It's great. Let's dig into this right away.
Drury, we don't have a curling background. What's going on?
Well, anyway, I got ice, okay? Listen, I got to ask you right away, the big controversy coming out of the Olympics, okay? Everybody knows about it. Mark Kennedy using some colorful language, getting real angry with the Swedes, okay? I just need to ask you straight up, Shawn. Did Canada cheat in the Olympics?
I would say Canada did not cheat. I would say Canada broke a rule, but I would not say Canada cheated.
Okay.
Do you think he actually touched that rock on purpose? Like, what was he thinking?
He probably did, but I don't think he was intending to do anything by touching it. I do it sometimes too. It just kind of maybe not the reach out and poke, but what he did made zero difference to that shot, in my opinion. Yes, it probably was a rule. I actually played with a guy in men's for years that every single rock used 4 fingers on the back of the granite and literally used it to change the direction of the rock. At a men's provincial championship, somebody tried to call him on it, and the official said, totally legal as long as it happens before the hog line.
Apparently not.
It was it was totally out there to me that was even a rule.
What's going on with Kevin Cooey?
He showed up this week, apparently. I don't know. Did you see the clip with his Vice last night that I think it was maybe Vic, I think, said he asked him, what happened with Kevin this week? And Aaron said, well, I disappeared for a month on a vacation and I came back and he's good.
Yeah, I did see that actually. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's great,
unreal,
dude.
actually. Like, I'm not sure we've seen him play this well since before the last Olympics, honestly.
He looks like he's real comfy. He's in cruise control. Just for the record, everybody, there's Canada with the gold medals. Okay, so Shawn has confirmed it for us on here. No cheating from our crew of Tyler Tardy, Ben Herbert, Brett Gallant, Mark Kennedy, and of course the skip Brad Jacobs, and Rachel Homansrink, of course, as well. We got to give her some love. She's my favorite curler. I love Rachel. There they are with the bronze. Tracy Fleury in there, friend of the show. Absolutely. We're gonna have to get her back on, obviously. So very good showing for Canada at the Olympics. What do you make of the Brier so far? Because Cooey obviously making a lot of noise when you look at the standings. Obviously, Jacobs is perfect. Kevin Cooey, yes, yeah. The other Cooey is not. Yes, we'll clarify.
He's probably making his performance in the patch, though, I would think.
Yeah, but Jacobs, like the Canada team is 6-0. Gushu's Newfoundland and Labrador rink is 6-0, and when you look at Pool B, Cooey, there he is, just cruising away. Dunstone had a little trip up against him. That was an unbelievable match, by the way.
It was.
Who do you think is coming away with this? Like, is Canada going to do it? Can Cooey get in there and do it? Like, what's your takeaway so far? Who are you liking?
Yeah, going into the week, I thought it was going to be a real stretch for Jacobs to be able to put it together for another week and win the Brier. But now that we're this far into the week and there doesn't seem to be any kind of chinks in the armor, like they're still kind of rolling the way that they were rolling at the Olympics. I think they maybe need to be the favorite. I think Cooey's having a great week. I'm still not 100% sure that team's going to put it together on the weekend to come out on top. I think it would be awesome if Gushu could pull it off in his last event of his career. But yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of the Brad Gushu show all week. But yeah, it would be cool to see him do well. And I'm not sure he has it in him to hold it together for the whole week. Like my pick at this point would be Jacobs, I think.
What's going on with Ontario men's curling? It just doesn't seem to be like I obviously go back to the Ed Wernick and Russ Howard and Glenn Howard and I know Jacobs, I guess, is from Ontario, but it just seems like it's really taking a downturn in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I'm probably the biggest Glenn Howard fan out there, and he was, in my opinion, he's the best male curler ever in this country. I know there's lots of people that disagree with that, but he's, in my mind, the best. But I think, honestly, part of the problem we have in this province is that Glenn was so good for so long. Nobody else ever really kind of had a chance to break through and be the next team. So now you have this team that's there. They're a great team, super young, but there just isn't really anybody in that kind of 25 to 45 range when Glenn was at the peak of his game and he was just like signing up and going to the Brier every year, it felt like. So yeah, like I think this team has a ton of potential. There's some other good young players, but yeah, there isn't a ton of depth here. There isn't a ton of depth on the women's side in Ontario either, which is crazy when you think about the size of the province and the number of curlers there are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Glenn was almost too good for too long, and it just people gave up or just weren't at that level and never really got the opportunity to play in the big stuff.
I think Russ was better than Glenn, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Russ was unbelievable for a long time.
Russ was most of Russ's big years were before I was really in the sport a whole lot, before he moved out to New Brunswick. But
no, Russ was unbelievable.
I will say, on the women's side, keep an eye out for Ellie Rowden. Keep an eye out for Ellie Rowden.
Thursday night special.
And she's playing on a great team and had a really great showing at a tournament just a couple weeks ago. So keep an eye on her. What you're telling us then, Shawn, is that we got to wait for your kids to be ready to take this Ontario program to another level.
That's a few years away, I think, maybe.
Why don't you take a team to another level? Why can't you do this?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm retired. I retired.
Yeah, come on. You can come out of retirement. There's a lot older than you playing this week.
Yeah, I thought I retired and then threw a team together for a men's competition this past weekend and qualified for provincials and then qualified for another So I thought I was done, but now I'm rocking the B circuit.
Harnden's retiring too. You could be, second or whatever, couldn't you?
There you go, Shawn. Yeah, like
he's a beast though.
He's younger than me though, so
yeah, he's a beast too. He's unbelievable. He made a shot.
Here's the problem though. Here's the problem. And I would be fully supportive.
I know what you're going to say. I beat Shawn, so I should be the one.
Listen, that's not at all what I was going to say.
Okay. Sorry, I had to mention that.
But it connects to that, and here is the problem. Let's paint us a dream scenario here where our buddy Shawn comes out of retirement, leads Ontario to glory at a Brier, maybe heads to the Olympics. All anybody would hear about is how this one time on a magical night when a deal was made at the crossroads that Chris Clark beat Shawn Cottrill.
Well, we got 3/4 of a team right here. We can just go.
And then everybody would be like, who is Chris Clark? What is this guy talking about? And then Shawn would have to inevitably bury the lead and be like, I've never met that guy in my entire life. I don't know what he's talking about. And then cut to Chris trying to dig through security footage at the curling club to prove that it really happened.
Shawn has always admitted it happened, Drury.
I gotta
do it if he won the Olympics. Okay.
No, that's fine.
We don't need to see you on CP24 next to Shawn, some talking head, and I beat him at curling one night.
Okay, we're running out of time. Who's winning this thing?
Jacobs,
eh?
Yeah.
I think he'll do it.
I want Goose too, but
give me Goose. I want him to. That's where I'm at. Give me Goose.
It
One
would be
more
cool,
magical
but
run.
To be totally honest, I'm a little bit. The Brad Gushue show all week's been a little much for me. I'm a Brad Gushue fan, but
I love the guy.
It's been a little bit much.
I
for sure.
I mean, Curling Canada gave him the Brier in his home city, knowing this was going to be his last one. That should have been enough. But anyway.
Yeah.
Give me Goose. I still love
that. No,
I'll take Dunstone. Dunstone.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yep.
I like Dunstone too.
Yeah. He's got to break through.
It was a good game yesterday. It was a good game.
The future in this country probably right now.
We had an 11-10 game yesterday too. That was a shootout. That was McEwen, I think. It was
McEwen.
It was 10-10 after 10, I think.
Yeah.
Bonkers stuff,
love it.
Man.
I love that.
Hope you had the over on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. Well, Shawn, we really appreciate this, dude. Thanks so much for doing this. And we always appreciate your insight,
Pack
brother.
season
Thank you
and
so
all.
much.
It's always fun, guys.
Oh, it's the best, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Shawn.
Thanks, buddy.
Lot, guys.
There's our buddy Shawn Cottrill, a provincial curling champion, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, mixed doubles, him and his wife Katie.
Yeah,
you can't take that away from Clarkey. All right,
can't.
but you did sneak in one just brilliant evening.
Yeah, did I ever tell you?
Good for you. I've heard rumblings about it. I someday I'll have to get you to tell me the full story. I want a full end by end breakdown. I want to see a scorecard. I want the whole thing, brother.
I got it up right behind here. So
real quick, I'm gonna run out and watch. What are you thinking for the Leafs here? What do you want?
Well,
to
they got to feel the guys that they're not playing for sure. OEL,
McMahon, Lawton.
I like Lawton. I like him, but you know what?
Could bring him
so
back.
What?
No,
what
I know.
if I like him? He's the one guy who goes hard every night in his 11 minutes.
Yeah.
OEL, I like him. OEL's our best defenseman right now with Tanev out. I like him. He's got 2 years left at a good ticket. But
and Tanev's
his value is the highest it's going to be.
Yeah, you got to flip
him.
And
that's why you have to trade him. You just have to.
And God forbid.
And we'll turn this thing around. No injuries next year. Tanev comes back. The goalies are back. We have a new coach, Peter DeBoer. We're on the right track. Everything will be fine.
I love your optimism, brother. Well, we'll see as we barrel toward trade deadline day. How about that?
Yeah,
all right, we appreciate our buddy Mike Gentile of Sportsnet.
Yep.
The Fan 590, you can tune in to his stuff that he produces and hosts by the way, and our friend Shawn Cottrill for breaking down the Olympics and the Brier with us. Remember, you can watch this show on Rogers TV, YouTube, access the podcast and all your favorite apps. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. Welcome back from the cruise, Clarkey. We will be back next week with more Instigating.